So,
And, do you have like a favorite episode or moment or line that you just love that gets you every time?
I am so glad you asked that because no one asks me this. My favorite line of the entire Office series is it's a Valentine's Day episode, and Pam and Jim are fighting, and Jim thinks that he's going to go back to his job because he thinks they're just going to fight, and Pam tells him that she thinks he should stay and she thinks they should fight. And that line is one of my favorite lines of the whole show because it just shows the depth of their relationship and how powerful it is.
He introduced me to it. So, because I'm from England, so we had the England office, but not the US one. Season 6 is my favorite. Yeah, definitely. And then it makes me really sad when Michael goes, so.
But I love Kelly. Kelly's like my inner, like my spirit animal, what I wish to be.
I think my favorite line of all time is when Michael Scott pulls up in his PT Cruiser with the sunglasses and he says, "It's Brittany, bitch."
I think I can relate to Jim because he like doesn't care, but he also cares a lot. He doesn't like show it, you know what I mean? Like doesn't care but cares, or acts like he doesn't care but cares a lot, and that's me.
My name is Mario Vega, and I'm originally from Mexico City, now live in Salt Lake City, Utah. I can't remember exactly when I started watching it. Had to be mid 2000s, like early 2000s. I don't know, 2005. So it started because one of my friends let me borrow a DVD. So I would just watch that season from beginning to end, and then I learned that they were actually it was on TV on cable TV in Mexico, and it was aired, and so I would watch it whenever I could. So I would just watch like an episode here and there. At first, it was really hard to get the humor. That's why I wasn't really getting into it, because the type of humor was very different from what I was used to. Here's the thing is, I was used to a certain type of humor throughout my life, but I was never like really into that type of humor. Like from TV shows in Mexico and from Mexican comedians. It's like, sure, it was funny, I get it, but it was never kind of like, oh, like, I love this. Really taught me more on that, more American version of humor, right? Little barrier was the language barrier, right? I wasn't really getting all the jokes, so that's why having that DVD really helped me, because it was English subtitles, and I could still hear their voices in English. When we watched movies on TV, they're dubbed, right? You don't get to listen to people's real voices. So this really helped me learn, listen to it and then see it written and kind of make that connection, getting that vocabulary, but also like idioms. One of the reasons why I think people really connect with it is because it shows what we all think. I think at some point we all have these thoughts that we don't really say, or things that we don't do because it will be just weird um, to say some of these things, but sometimes I do want to just say the weird things that Dwight says. I don't know, with the cubicles and I can't do anything that's slightly weird because then it's that combination of such a close environment, letting those real feelings and thoughts out. I think that's what people connect with. I haven't found anything that I connect with so much.
Okay, so my name is Debbie Grant, and I'm from Idaho right here. It's Lewiston, Idaho.
And I'm Landon Grant, and I'm also from Lewiston, Idaho.
So we watched it a little bit, like, I shouldn't say a little bit. We watched it regularly when it was on regular, before Landon was even born, maybe when he was a tiny baby. And we'd catch it every once in a while after that, like on, reruns and stuff. And then, like, 2 years ago, we got rid of DirecTV. And so we're like, oh, what are we going to watch? Oh, let's start watching The Office. And we just, like, remembered how good it was, and we started at the beginning.
Watch on Netflix.
We watch it on Netflix. So we watch it almost every night. So we'll watch the whole season. We only skip a couple of episodes. But The Office is the main one. And so, like, a year ago?
No, 2017 Christmas.
2017 Christmas, Landon's like, what is this show you guys are watching? And how many times have you watched the whole series since then?
10 times.
We don't count how many times we've watched it, but he does.
They think I'm crazy how much I watch it. Most of my friends just watch Friends, but I like to watch The Office a lot more. I usually watch it as soon as I wake up and before I go to school, and it's like when I'm going to bed, so I at least watch 3 or 4 episodes every day.
Also, my mom is in the room. She lives with us as well. And for years, she hated the show. She thought Michael Scott and Dwight were the worst people ever. And about 2 months ago, she's like, oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. And now, like, she watches it all the time. She's retired, and, like, I came home from work today, and she's sitting in here watching TV, watching The Office. Mom, what was it that brought you in?
Well, I think I watched the last few.
The last few episodes.
So, yeah.
I mean, we'll, like, go on YouTube and just watch series of cold openers and...
When Jim impersonated Dwight, that's like one of my top 10. Dwight, because he's just so weird, and like it's just like he likes to be different. He's
extreme.
Yeah, he's extreme. He doesn't
Doesn't care what other people think.
He doesn't care what other people think. He's unique.
Things they say on that show, like, they could never get away with saying right now, and everything is so plain, not plain, but understated right now. Like, those are real people. Those are real,
They have they always reach out to like different types of comedy to other people.
They do a little bit of physical comedy. They do,
mental comedy.
Yeah. It's kind of pure. I mean, we don't have any problems. I mean, he started watching when he was 10. We don't have any problems letting him watch that. And it's so, it's so funny. And almost everybody's worked in some kind of office environment. And people like that. An Angela, a Kevin. You're like, how does that person even keep his job?
A Jim.
Yeah, a prankster in the office. Like, especially since he started watching. He's our only child. And so, like, to know that we can laugh about it and, like, tell stories, or like he'll be like, oh my God, look at this YouTube video I found, and Toby is the Scranton Strangler, and that kind of stuff. And I mean, 12-year-olds don't want to hang out with their parents that much, like. So anything that can bond us, and my husband and I lay in bed and we'll talk and laugh, and you just be about asleep, and then all of a sudden something funny happens and we're wide awake again because we were laughing at it, and it's just really brought our family. I mean, now it's something we can all watch.
It's just like, it's really the same to bond us. Like, my grandma used to, like, she had to leave the room when we had to watch it. But now she just, when we put on an episode, she just wants to stay. So I think it's bonding us more.
It's like watching videos of your own friends. Like,
it's a getaway.
I'm confident they would know us if we met them on the street. Like, they would all know us because we've watched it so much.
Yeah.
My name's Lisa Michello, and I'm from Winchester, Virginia, so the DC suburbs. So I started watching when it was airing. When I was like 19, I started as a receptionist, so naturally you have to fall in love there. The story was what I wished my office was like, with all of the excitement and how much people loved each other and all that kind of stuff. So I've been watching it pretty much since then, so it's been about 10 years now. I tend to look for episodes that I really like, and I start there. So I have this idea that I'm going to skip around episodes, but then usually I jump in somewhere and then they just keep playing, and then all of a sudden I'm hooked into the series all over again. So I've always taken from it that it's super relatable. Like, I think that just about anybody can look at different characters or aspects or scenes and be like, yeah, that's realistic and it's funny, and I might know somebody like that. Not only that, but the humor, I think, if you were to air The Office today with the jokes, the roast and all that kind of stuff, it just wouldn't go over the same. I mean, PC culture would have ruined it a long time ago. So I think that maybe that's one thing we're still holding on to is that little essence of that crude humor that we can still laugh at. I don't know, it blows my mind. I kind of always thought I was alone in this obsession, just because I would only watch it at my house on Netflix. So you don't really think that the rest of the world is also doing that. And then I found the Superfans group, and I was like, oh my God, there's thousands of you who are as obsessed as I am, and I'm not alone. I think it's just something that I've latched onto over the years. I mean, the fact that it has been my background noise for all of these big things that I've gone through in my life. I mean, and it's always the same, and it always, they feel like your friends. And some days when you're sad and you're lonely, you just put your friends on, which is, wow, that sounds really sad out loud. But I think I just related to it so much that that's where I grabbed onto it. And so it's almost like reminiscing at this point. Every time I want a good laugh or a good joke, I put my friends on. I honestly I never understood why people gravitated so much to these fandoms, but then I kind of got sucked into it. And I want to say I didn't even realize how obsessed I was until I was using it in everyday conversation, and I was referring to things that people didn't necessarily understand the reference. My boyfriend in particular, who doesn't watch The Office, and now makes That's What She Said jokes just because I do, not because he watches. So it just integrated itself into my life. And then all of a sudden I was like, wow, I might be obsessed with this show. One day I was just watching The Office, and then all of a sudden my mom gets me stuff, and my friend got me the Threat Level Midnight movie poster. So I think it's also something that all my friends now just associate with me, which is furthering my obsession.
So my name's Elise Herschel. I am from Bradenton, Florida. Born here, raised here, only left to go to college and came back. So I was in college, I believe, and I think The Office had already been on the air for 2, maybe 3 seasons. They might have been in the 3rd season. I don't recall exactly, but I had just it almost came up in conversation once or twice a week. Kind of like when you look like a celebrity and people just say, you kind of look like so and so. Like it's like a running theme. And people would either know me or get to know me. And they'd always say, you know what show I feel like you'd love is The Office. Or they'd ask me, I assume you watch The Office, or do you watch The Office? And I was always like, that keeps coming up, and no, I don't watch it. And they're like, oh my gosh, your humor is so much like The Office. You should watch it. So it went from like, I have to be home to watch The Office, or I recorded it, or, and then it transitioned to, okay, it's over. Like my life is like lacking something now. So then Netflix comes out with all the I had all the seasons on DVD, but it's very different when you have to get up and change the DVD than when you're like, instant gratification on Netflix. It became my background TV. Like it's on, unless there's something else on that I like am intentionally trying to watch. It was just my background. I clean to it. I cook to it. I do homework to it. I mean, it's on all the time. And eventually, like, I started keeping, like, once I got up to like 8 times, I'm like, I've watched every episode 8 times. Well, then I was like, I'm just going to keep track for fun. And I got up. I told my husband the other day that I got up to 25 times, and he's negating that. He thinks I'm down more like 20. But I'm telling you, I'm on my 25th rotation. And he doesn't believe me, but I totally am. He thinks that that's something I shouldn't admit because it makes me look like a psychopath. So that's what's on my TV at home. My kids see it. Everyone sees it. It's just, they're part of our family. At first, it was just what it was. It was a funny show. It was like this like cult following. Like I loved when someone else I knew got a joke or got a quote or found something like that's what she said funny. And so it was just cool. It was like, oh, I love people who watch The Office. We have similar humor. It's almost like there was like this inside joke that we were in on. You know what I mean? And if you met someone who would look at you in the grocery store when you had on a Dunder Mifflin shirt or a Schrutz Beet Farm shirt and say, oh, awesome shirt. You're like, oh yeah. Like you wanted to be that person's best friend. And it was just a cool club to be a part of. Then, my dad got really sick with cancer. He was my best friend in the world. And, The Office was, so during the time he was sick, The Office was like almost like an outlet for me. Like I could come home from work, I would always go straight to my mom and dad's house. I would check on my dad. I'm the nurse in the family. So I would check on my dad. I would, make sure his spirits were okay, make sure that my mom didn't need anything. It was very emotionally draining. And I had, a 1-year-old kid at home. My husband was trying to help as much as he could. And so I'd turn on The Office, and it was kind of like a way to zone out. Like I would watch it, I'd laugh, I'd forget my life for a second. When he had surgery, when we thought that he was going to beat it, he was going to be the 5% or less that beat pancreatic cancer, even though my nurse brain told me no one really beats it. But my daughter brain and my belief in miracles brain was like, he's going to be the one. I'd sit next to him while he's recovering, and I'd have my phone and my headphones, and I'd be watching The Office. Well, so then he passes away, and I think I'll never be happy again. Just things weren't as sweet. Like life wasn't as sweet. The trees weren't as green. Like, it's almost like you want to say my world has stopped and everyone else is still going, everyone's still going to work. Everyone's still taking their kid to school. Everyone is still going to the Taco Bell drive-thru. Don't they know that my world just stopped? My world just was shattered. And for a long time, I was like, wow, like I'm really not doing so hot. Like I don't know what to do. I would turn on The Office and I would watch The Office, and it literally, and I've said this before, it sounds pathetic, but it felt like I had a bunch of friends in the room with me, and all they were there for was to tell me that it's okay to laugh and it's okay to still think things are funny. And that was so therapeutic for me. Like more than any, I hate to say it, but more than any conversation I had with like a friend who was like, everything happens for a reason. It'll be okay. He's in a better place. All the things that I would probably say to someone too, and with good intentions, but nobody could make me, other than seeing my children laugh and smile, that was very medicinal, but nothing made me feel joy again or feel like it's okay to laugh and it's okay to move on to it. You're not betraying him by laughing or finding joy. The Office did that for me. It was like they all showed up for me. I know that sounds dumb, but they did. Like they showed up. Like I hit enter, I pick an episode, and for 21 minutes or whatever it is, I was okay.